The Indian Ocean, a vast expanse of blue, has served not as a barrier but as a bridge between the Indian subcontinent and the island nation of Sri Lanka. This body of water has witnessed countless journeys, exchanges, and interactions that have shaped the histories of both lands. For millennia, these two lands have been bound by the invisible threads of history, culture, and spirituality. The shared heritage is evident in the artifacts, manuscripts, and cultural practices that have been passed down through generations. Long before the arrival of European powers, India and Sri Lanka were already active players in a vibrant network of trade and cultural exchange. The ancient trade routes facilitated not just the movement of goods, but also the exchange of ideas, beliefs, and traditions. Buddhism, originating in India, played a pivotal role in shaping the cultural landscape of Sri Lanka. The teachings of the Buddha found fertile ground in Sri Lanka, influencing its art, architecture, and way of life. Emperor Ashoka, a key figure in the early spread of Buddhism, sent his son Mahinda to Sri Lanka in the 3rd century BCE. This mission was not just a religious endeavor, but also a cultural exchange that left a lasting impact on Sri Lankan society. This marked a turning point in Sri Lankan history, leading to the widespread adoption of Buddhism. The island nation embraced the teachings of the Buddha, which became deeply ingrained in its cultural and spiritual fabric. Numerous Buddhist temples and monasteries were established, forever intertwining the spiritual journeys of the two nations. These sacred sites became centers of learning, meditation, and pilgrimage, attracting devotees from far and wide. Beyond religion, the bustling seaports of ancient Sri Lanka, like Anuradhapura and Polonnaruwa, became important nodes in the vast Indian Ocean trade network. These cities thrived as hubs of commerce, culture, and connectivity. Spices, textiles, precious stones, and other commodities flowed between the two regions. The trade in these goods not only enriched the economies, but also facilitated cultural exchanges that left a lasting legacy. This vibrant trade fostered closer ties and led to the exchange of ideas, art, and architectural styles. The influence of Indian culture is evident in the artistic and architectural marvels found in Sri Lanka. The influence of Indian artistic traditions can be seen in the intricate carvings and majestic stupas that grace the Sri Lankan landscape, a testament to the deep-rooted cultural connections between the two nations. These structures stand as symbols of a shared heritage that transcends time. The epic Indian poem, the Ramayana, further illustrates these ancient ties. This literary masterpiece has been a source of inspiration and cultural exchange for centuries. It tells the tale of Prince Rama's journey to Lanka to rescue his wife, Sita, from the demon king Ravana. This story has been retold and reimagined in countless forms, reflecting the shared cultural narratives of India and Sri Lanka. This epic has resonated deeply in both cultures, with countless adaptations and performances, blurring the lines between mythology and shared history. Festivals and performances celebrating the Ramayana continue to be a testament to the enduring cultural bond. The enduring legacy of these ancient bonds, forged through Buddhism, trade, and shared cultural narratives, continues to underpin the relationship between India and Sri Lanka. Today, these connections are celebrated and cherished, reminding us of a rich and intertwined past that continues to shape the present and future. The arrival of European powers in the 16th century ushered in a new era for both India and Sri Lanka. These foreign entities, driven by the quest for spices, wealth, and new territories, marked the beginning of a long and complex colonial history for the subcontinent and the island nation. The Portuguese were the first to arrive, establishing trading posts and fortifications along the coasts. Their presence was soon felt in the cultural and economic fabric of the regions they occupied. They were followed by the Dutch, who took over many Portuguese holdings, and finally the British, who would eventually establish their dominance over both regions. The British Empire's influence was far-reaching, altering the political, social, and economic landscapes of India and Sri Lanka. This shared experience of colonialism, though marked by exploitation and oppression, also played a role in shaping their modern identities. The colonial rulers imposed new administrative systems, legal frameworks, and educational policies that left lasting impacts. Under British rule, both countries were integrated into the vast network of the British Empire. This integration was not just political, but also economic, as the British sought to maximize their profits from these colonies. Their economies were restructured to serve British interests, focusing on cash crops like tea, rubber, and coffee. These crops were cultivated extensively, often at the expense of local food production, leading to economic dependency on the colonial powers. This led to the development of plantation economies in both countries, unfortunately often reliant on indentured labor, a dark chapter in their colonial past. The laborers, brought in from various regions, worked under harsh conditions, facing exploitation and minimal rights. However, colonialism also inadvertently fostered a sense of shared struggle and solidarity. The oppressive regimes and exploitative practices united the people in their fight against a common enemy. Indians and Sri Lankans found themselves subjected to similar discriminatory policies and economic exploitation. These injustices were not isolated incidents, but systemic issues that affected large swathes of the population. This shared experience ignited a sense of nationalism in both lands. The desire for self-governance and the end of foreign rule became a rallying cry for millions. Intellectuals, reformers, and political activists began to challenge the very foundations of colonial rule, advocating for self-determination. They used various platforms to voice their dissent and mobilize the masses. Newspapers, journals, and political organizations emerged as platforms for dissent. These mediums played a crucial role in spreading nationalist ideas and uniting people across different regions. Figures like Mahatma Gandhi in India and Anagarika Dharmapala in Sri Lanka, though separated by the waters of the Indian Ocean, found common cause in their fight against colonialism. Their philosophies and methods of resistance inspired many to join the struggle. They inspired generations of Indians and Sri Lankans to demand freedom and self-governance. Their movements were characterized by mass mobilizations, non-violent protests, and a relentless pursuit of justice. This shared struggle for independence would later serve as a strong foundation for their post-colonial relationship. The bonds forged in the crucible of anti-colonial resistance laid the groundwork for future cooperation and mutual respect between the two nations. The mid-20th century witnessed the winds of change sweeping across Asia as the grip of colonialism began to weaken and crumble. India and Sri Lanka, bound by their shared history and their common struggle against British rule, marched toward independence with newfound determination and hope. India, under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi, adopted a path of non-violent resistance and civil disobedience. Gandhi's philosophy of satyagraha, based on truth and non-violent civil disobedience, resonated far beyond the borders of India, inspiring many Sri Lankan leaders inspired by Gandhi's teachings also embraced non-violent methods in their fight for independence, demonstrating the interconnectedness of their struggles and aspirations. In 1947, India achieved its independence, marking a pivotal moment in the dismantling of the British Empire and colonial rule. This victory reverberated across the colonized world, providing inspiration to other nations, including Sri Lanka, yearning for self-rule and freedom. Just a year later, in 1948, Sri Lanka, then known as Ceylon, peacefully gained its independence, marking the beginning of a new chapter for both nations and their people. The newly independent nations of India and Sri Lanka embarked on their journeys with a sense of optimism and a shared commitment to peace and cooperation. Their shared colonial past and their parallel struggles for freedom had forged a strong bond of friendship and solidarity. This foundation of goodwill would guide their early diplomatic relations and future collaborations. The dawn of independence brought with it the immense task of nation-building for both India and Sri Lanka. The euphoria of newfound freedom was accompanied by the daunting challenge of laying down the foundations of their respective nations. Recovering from the legacies of colonialism, they navigated the complexities of establishing new political systems, fostering economic growth, and addressing social inequalities. The journey was fraught with obstacles, but the determination to create a better future for their citizens was unwavering. Their shared history and cultural affinity naturally led to a close and multifaceted relationship. Festivals, traditions, and cultural practices intertwined, creating a rich tapestry of mutual respect and understanding. Diplomatic ties were quickly established, with both countries recognizing the importance of maintaining strong bilateral relations. These early diplomatic efforts laid the groundwork for a partnership that would evolve over the decades. High-level visits between leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, and D.S. Senanayake, Sri Lanka's first Prime Minister, further cemented the bonds of friendship. These meetings were not just symbolic, but also instrumental in shaping the policies and agreements that would benefit both nations. Economic cooperation also emerged as a key pillar of their relationship. The exchange of goods and services became a vital aspect of their bilateral ties, fostering economic interdependence. Trade agreements were signed, facilitating the exchange of goods and services. These agreements were crucial in boosting the economies of both countries, providing a steady flow of resources and opportunities. India, with its larger industrial base, became a significant trading partner for Sri Lanka. The industrial growth in India provided a market for Sri Lankan goods, while Sri Lanka's resources supported India's burgeoning industries. Both countries recognized the importance of regional cooperation and became founding members of the Colombo Plan in 1950, an initiative aimed at promoting economic and social development in South and Southeast Asia. This plan was a testament to their commitment to regional stability and growth. However, the post-colonial era was not without its challenges. Both nations grappled with the complexities of political transitions and the pressures of modern governance. Both countries faced internal political upheavals and ethnic tensions. The diverse social fabric of each nation sometimes led to conflicts that tested their resilience and unity. The legacy of colonial policies, particularly the divide and rule strategy, had left its mark, contributing to social divisions that sometimes strained their bilateral relations. These divisions required careful navigation and thoughtful policies to overcome. Despite these challenges, the overarching theme of their early post-independence relationship was one of cooperation, mutual respect, and a shared vision for a peaceful and prosperous South Asia. Their collaborative efforts in various fields showcase their commitment to building a stable and thriving region.